SOC analyst interviews are tough, and most beginners fail them for the same reasons. Not because they're not smart enough, not because they don't know the tools, and not because they don't want it badly enough. They fail because no one ever teaches them how SOC interviews really work. They fail because they do not know what hiring managers are actually looking for, and they fail because they go into interviews thinking it's all about technical knowledge, when in reality it's about how you think. Now, I see this every week. I speak to candidates and hiring managers. I see who gets rejected and I see who gets hired. So today I'm going to walk you through the biggest reasons people fail SOC analyst interviews in 2025 and how you can fix every single one of them, even if you have no experience at all. So if you want to pass your SOC interview with confidence, and if you want to stand out from the thousands of beginners applying, watch the entire video. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, my name's Luke. I'm a career coach and recruiter, and if you're new here, welcome to the channel. Let's get straight into the video. Number one, people do not explain their thought process. So this is the number one reasons candidates fail. When the hiring manager gives them a scenario, they freeze. They give one sentence answers, or they jump straight to the conclusion, or they say something generic like, I would investigate further. This does not really tell the hiring manager anything. SOC work is all about your mind, your steps, your logic, your approach to breaking down a problem. So when you get to a question like, how would you investigate a suspicious login? So if you say, I would check the logs and escalate if needed, that's not going to cut it. A strong answer sounds like this. I would start by checking the IP address. I would then check the location, check the device, and I'd compare it with the user's normal behavior. I would then check if there were any MFA problems and if any new sessions were created. I would also check if any other alerts fired around the same time, and I'd move into correlation to see if this login triggered any actions afterwards. Now that answer shows structure. It shows logic and it shows confidence. It shows that you know how to think through an alert, and that's what hiring managers want. So how do you fix this? Well, practice thinking out loud. Explain your steps. Don't worry about being perfect, but worry about being clear. All right, number two, people have no real examples to give. So what do I mean by that? Well, a lot of people walk into interviews with theory only. They talk about phishing in the abstract or malware in the abstract. They talk about suspicious activity in the abstract. Hiring managers hate that. They want to know that you actually have tried something. They want to know that you have done at least one or two labs, or you've attempted at least basic scenarios. Even simple examples help. For example, a great answer is, I worked on a phishing scenario last week. The user clicked the link, I checked the browser history, and I checked if any credentials were used. I then checked for new logins, email headers, I checked if there were any follow-up alerts. Now, you can do all of that for free in online labs, and it gives you stories to talk about, stories that make you stand out over other candidates in interviews. So how do you fix this? Well, I suggest completing 2 or 3 free labs. They're out there on the internet. Look them up. I've also got a video that just come out on free labs. Now write down what you did. Use those examples in your interview and it will make you stand out. All right, moving on to number 3. People do not understand logs. Now this is a big one. Now what do I mean by that? Well, most beginners think they know Splunk or Sentinel, but the hiring manager asks, what logs would you check? They can't answer. A SOC analyst cannot do anything without logs. Logs tell the entire story. They reveal what happened before, what happened during, and what happened after. So you need to know the basic log types. You have authentication logs, email logs, endpoint alerts, network traffic logs, process logs. Now you don't need mastery in all of these, but you need to understand what each type of log tells you. For example, a suspicious login, or what logs matter, authentication logs, a phishing email, a malware alert, user behavior logs, and there's plenty more. So understanding this makes you look more senior than you are. So how do you fix this and prepare? Well, spend 1 hour in a free SIEM environment. Look at a few different events, learn the fields, what appears in each log, and learn how to find the story. Number 4, people don't understand basic attack flow. So beginners often fail here. They know pieces of attacks, but they cannot explain the sequence. And SOC interviews love to test this. There's a high chance you'll be asked things like, what happens after someone clicks a phishing link? Or what happens after a credential is stolen? Or possibly, what happens after malware run? If you cannot explain the flow, it looks like you memorized information, but you never connected it. Here is a simple example of an attack flow for phishing. A user receives email, user clicks the links, credentials are harvested, attacker logs in with stolen credentials, unusual location, new session created, privilege misuse, data accessed, alerts triggered. You don't need to be exact. You just need to understand the logic. So how do you fix this and prepare? Learn 2 or 3 basic attack chains. Just do that. Learn 2 or 3 basics and explain them in simple terms. Practice saying them out loud. Practice with a friend, a family member. It doesn't matter. Just get used to practicing them so you're confident and you know what to do in the interview. 5, people panic under pressure. And I get it. Interviews are tough, they're daunting, they can be intimidating. Not everyone likes interviews, we've all been there. But unfortunately, it's part of it, you have to do it. So the better you can prepare, the better chance you have. And SOC analysts deal with stress. They have alerts, incidents, they need to make fast decisions. There's uncertain situations. So the hiring manager is going to want to know that you can communicate well under pressure. They will ask, how would you explain this to your team? How would you summarize this incident? What would you escalate? Now, if you ramble, if you freeze, if your answer is unstructured, it hurts your chances. Good communication is a superpower in cybersecurity, but particularly in SOC. A great communication structure is what happened, what you did, what you found, what you recommend. Use that in your interview. What happened, what you did, what you found, what you recommend. Write that down. It makes you sound confident. It makes you sound like someone they can trust during an incident. So how do you fix it? Practice, practice, practice. I want you to practice explaining scenarios using this structure. Short, clear, orderly. This will help you stand out. And number 6, people don't ask strong enough questions. Now, this one baffles me. I can't believe there's people out there who don't ask questions in interviews. Trust me when I say always have questions ready. So the interview finishes, the hiring manager will often ask you, do you have any questions for us? Most beginners say no, or they ask something strange like they talk about salary or what they're looking for in salary before trust is even built. This is a missed opportunity. The questions you ask shows how you think. They show your interest, they show your maturity. Good questions can include, and I'll give you a few examples here, so you can pause it, replay it, write these down. What alerts do your junior analysts handle most often? How does your team support new analysts in their first few months? What tools will I be working with? What does success look like in the first 3 months? How does your team escalate incidents? Once again, there are some questions for you. Think of others, but there are some you can use. Questions like these make you memorable. So how do you fix this? How do you prepare? Write these questions down and learn them. Prepare your own ones. Make sure you have at least 3 good questions before your next interview. I can't stress that enough. Number 7, people try to sound too technical. And this is a surprising one. A lot of people try to sound advanced. They use big words. They try to overcomplicate every answer. You don't need to. Hiring managers don't want to see that. They want clarity. They want calm things. They want someone who can break down complex things into a very simple language. Particularly if you're going for an entry-level role or one that's not too advanced. They're not expecting you to be extra advanced in your language. So keep it simple. Keep it clear. If you come across as someone who tries too hard to sound technical, it can look insecure or rehearsed. It can look like you don't actually understand the topic. Simple is always stronger. Clear is always better. And straightforward is always valued by hiring managers. So how to fix this? Answer questions simply in plain language. Speak like you're explaining it to a friend. Don't try to be over technical. Focus on being understandable. In fact, use a friend. Pick someone, a family member, a friend who has no idea about cybersecurity. Nothing to do with what you do. Get them to ask you a question. Write it on a bit of paper. Get them to ask you and practice it speaking to them in a simple, clear way. Okay, number 8, people don't show enough curiosity. SOC teams want people who take initiative, people who dig a little deeper, people who want to learn and who are naturally curious, because curiosity is a key trait in cybersecurity. Interviewers will often say things like, I want someone who looks at something odd and actually wants to know why. So if your answers seem too surface level, if it sounds like you only memorize things, if you don't ask why, you come across as passive. Curiosity can make you stand out. How to fix it? Well, when explaining scenarios, add curiosity. For example, I would check this because I want to know if this behavior is normal. Or I look for this pattern because it helps me understand the intent. Another one could be, I would follow up on this alert because it could connect to a bigger incident. Now, little details like this impress hiring managers. So if you can fix these mistakes, you will stand out more than most beginners when applying for SOC roles. Once again, you do not need years of experience. You don't even need advanced skills, and you don't need perfect knowledge. You need clear thinking, you need simple examples, and you need to understand logs. So you need to know the basics of attack flow knowledge, and you need to communicate calmly under pressure. That's key. Practice that one. This is what hiring managers want. This is what gets people hired. And this is exactly what you can start mastering today. Now, if you want to help preparing for your SOC interviews, or if you want personalized coaching to land your next role, the link's in the description. Let's have a chat. In the meantime, I hope you found this helpful. If you have, click the like button, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and as always, keep leveling up your career. I'll see you on the next video.